Okay. Oh, perfect.
There we go. I got you covered.
Great. So welcome everyone to our latest Informs Military and Security Society webinar. This particular one is focused on how to apply for the Koopman, Bonder, and Steinhardt Awards. Presenting on these awards and prizes are Dr. Natalie Scala and Dr. Dick Dectro. So welcome to them. Thank you everyone for joining. This is being recorded. So this is just a brief picture of what these awards are named after, and just a reminder that they all have a deadline of July 1st, which is rapidly approaching. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already been, please follow Informs Mass on YouTube. Also our page, we have an Informs page. We are on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook. So to tune in for our discussion boards or blogs, please stay tuned. If you're not a member actively, we welcome you to join us. We'd love to have you. And at this point, I want to introduce Mr. Sean Dehaney. He's our Vice President and President-elect. Over to you, Sean.
Excellent. Thank you, Alicia. First, let me just say thank you, Alicia, for putting together this webinar. I know that it's not trivial to put these together, so thank you very much for everything, and thank you, Dr. Scala and Dr. Decro for joining us today to talk us through these various awards. We're really excited to hear more about the process and how we can encourage more participation in the awards. So, and then thank you to everyone attending. It looks like we have a number of folks attending the webinar today. And as Alicia mentioned, the session is being recorded. And so we'll post this on the YouTube, on our Mass YouTube page. As well, so that others can watch if they weren't able to miss it today. And and please, I encourage you to share this with your network as well, and encourage them to learn more about these prestigious awards supporting the military and security communities. And one follow-up note to what Alicia mentioned on the LinkedIn page and the Facebook page. While you need to be a member of MASS to participate in certain aspects of the society, you don't have to be a member to follow us on LinkedIn and follow us on Facebook. And we'd love to connect with you. So please connect with us on those pages and those handles. And we'd love to continue the conversations as we go forward. So as Alicia mentioned, I'm the Vice President and President-elect for the Military and Security Society of Informs. And you can connect with us through Informs if you're an Informs member in that address that's at the top of the page there. And our goal really is to foster the professional development of those analysts and operations research professionals who are contributing to the military and security sectors and advancing. They're providing decision support and making the science of better for their organizations in the military and security domains. And so as we strive to achieve that goal, we want to partner with you to see how we can continue to do that for our communities. As this last year has proven, we are faced with incredible challenges all the time and need to be able to pivot to address those challenges. And the Informs Military and Security Society is front and center at the heart of wanting to give back to the community to support exactly those efforts. And so please, we encourage you to look to us. How can we help you? And for how can you help your society as we address all of these various challenges that are facing us? The Military and Security Society is an outstanding forum for us to learn together, collaborate with each other. As we meet, as we look towards the upcoming annual meeting, there's going to be opportunities for us to reconnect in person once again, and virtually as well. But first and foremost, fostering that collaboration, that networking, and that sense of community. And so what are some of the benefits then of joining the society? There are no shortages of opportunities here. So I mentioned growing your professional network. I know Dr. Scala has mentioned in the past all of the job opportunities that she's had in her career in the military and national security space, for example, came through the networking that she had in the Military and Security Society of Informs. Those conversations that you have at the beginning or the end of a presentation, those relationships that you foster when you meet with your counterparts who are working on those challenging problems in the defense and security domains. There's just no under the value of that, it just can't be spoken to highly enough. And so we want to look at how can we continue to give back and help grow those analysts who are just starting their careers in the military and national security spaces, those mid-level careers. How can you continue to advance and progress in your career? And as those senior operations research professionals, how can you give back to the community and begin to hand over the baton and the torch as we transition in these incredibly challenging times? And looking into the future, we see no shortage of challenges facing our communities. One of the great benefits of this society is the opportunity to earn recognition, whether it's through published works where we have opportunities to publish your work in ORMS Today through Informs and other professional journals. And one of the big opportunities is through the awards programs that you're going to learn about today, thanks to Dr. Scala and Dr. Decro. And so really, without further ado, I'd like to turn the reins over to them to help us understand more about the Bonder and Koopman Awards specifically. And I know that Dr. Scala will probably mention the Steinhardt Award as well as we talk through that. So as I turn over the reins to Dr. Scala, so she is our immediate past president. So she just turned over the reins of the presidency of the society to Brian Lundy, who in turn will be turning it over to me in a year or so. So Dr. Scala is a tenured associate professor and the director of the graduate programs in supply chain management at the College of Business and Economics at Townsend University. She earned her PhD and her master's in industrial engineering from the University of Pittsburgh, and her primary research is in decision analysis with a foci in military applications and cybersecurity. Specific projects include Army unit readiness, or risk and voting systems, which lots of recent published work in that sector coming out of the most recent elections, especially cybersecurity metrics and best practices, naval sea basing, nuclear power plants, and workforce planning. So she has extensive professional experience to include previous positions in DoD with the RAND Corporation and First Energy Corporation. One of the books that we refer to quite regularly is her co-edited volume titled The Handbook of Military and Defense Operations Research, which was released just early of last year. And she's the associate editor for the Engineering Management Journal and the Military Operations Research. And then, as I mentioned, served as our president for the last 2 years. So with that, thank you very much for supporting this webinar, Dr. Scala, and I turn the reins over to you.
All right, thanks, Sean. Thanks, Alicia. So, as Alicia mentioned at the top of the webinar, your applications are due July 1st. So if you're finding this on YouTube after today's event that's live, we're talking about July 1st of 2021. But we do offer these awards every year through the Military and Security Society. So again, if you're stumbling on this down the road, I would definitely check the Informs website, so informs.org, search for these awards, because every single year, the most recent application deadline will pop up online, but that does not mean the content or the nature of the awards change. So we just want to let everyone who's on the call today get an understanding of what these awards are, what the opportunity is, and also what makes a successful application. So we've had applications in the past, and sometimes that quality is not consistent. So we want to make sure that everyone who is interested in the awards has an equal opportunity and equal access to put together a positive and competitive application packet. All right, so we are going to start with the Seth Bonder Scholarship for Applied OR and Military and Security Applications. This Bonder Scholarship, there's the one in military OR and security. There's also another Bonder Scholarship in healthcare. That is a separate award. I think the Health Application Society runs that, but these are also Informs levels awards. So these are probably one of the most visible awards we offer as a society, because they are actually sponsored by Informs in general, along with the society as well. But we're very thankful to the Bonder Foundation and the Bonder family for continuing to support this award throughout the years. So what is this? This is to promote the research, development, and application of OR to the military and national security problem domains. We are looking for PhD students. So the scope of this is PhD students, typically in a little bit beyond maybe the qualifying exam, or maybe after your initial comprehensive exam, but not necessarily required to have your comprehensives complete. But the reason I bring that up is that we are looking for a research agenda at this point. So early in your PhD program, your agenda might not be clearly defined, but we are looking for a research agenda in military and security applications. Typically, your dissertation is something in this area, and you're seeking support for that. So the scholarship is a one-year appointment of $5,000 in US dollars to support your development. And you also get access to the Informs conference as well. So you get the annual meeting registration fee waived. That does not necessarily mean your travel is waived, but the $5,000 of support may help you with your travel or with other dissertation related expenses. And it is for 1 year. So again, our submission deadline for this year is July 1st, 2021. But like I mentioned, we offer this award every single year. And we are looking for doctoral students. Typically, those fields per se, like your official field is either operations research, industrial engineering, systems engineering, decision science, computer science, math, artificial intelligence, analytics. That is a lot, but is basically the point is we are looking for those skills that Informs professionals have applied to the military and OR space. Again, 2 to 3 years remaining. So typically you've been through the comprehensive, but maybe not. And you have to be a fully paid up member of Informs. We recommend that at the time of your application. We cannot award the scholarship to someone who is not an Informs member. So preference is given to those who are Informs members already at the time of application. Technically, yes, you could join Informs if you win, but preference tends to be given to those who are already members of the society. And this is open internationally. So we can look for US students, and we also encourage international students as well working in the military and OR space. A little general kind of comment about the Bonder. I'll talk about the submission in a second. A comment about submissions and where they've come from. Typically, if you go to the website, you'll see that recently these awards have been given to students who are primarily at U.S. service academies or U.S. graduate academies and are active duty military members. I want to be clear that that is not limited in the scope. You do not have to be a military active duty service member, U.S. or abroad. You do not have to have military service in your background. We have just had a history of applicants from that area, mostly because they were working in military OR problems. But if you are a graduate student at a US institution or at an international institution who are generally working on military and security, you are also eligible. And that is something that I did not know when I was a graduate student. I was working in nuclear power plant security, and there was some national security implications to that. I didn't even know about the scholarship then. I might have been able to be a viable candidate. So don't let what you might see on the website discourage you. It is open to all. So again, doctoral students, we can go to the next slide, please. And these are what we're looking for. These are the materials that we need. And if your submission is not complete, it will not necessarily be returned after July 1st asking you for more information. So it's really important that when you submit this packet on or before July 1st of 2021, you have everything in it. Okay. So please do not submit part of it and then try and email us 3 or 4 days later. Oh, here's the other half. Don't do that. We're going to have multiple applications. We don't want to lose any of your materials. Also, it's not very professional. Also, please don't email us a packet and say, wait, no, I want this packet instead. Please make sure you are 100% complete with your application before you submit it. And please make sure all of these things are here. The first is your curriculum vitae, most recent update, 2 letters of recommendation or support, and a small statement. I mean, this does not have to be, a long thesis, but we're looking for 1 to 2, maybe 3 pages on why do you care about OR and defense related applications, especially in this military and national security problem domain. And then a separate 2-page summary of your proposed program of research. What's going on in your dissertation program? What are you studying? And what is your dissertation looking like or intended to look like? So actually 2 separate narrative statements, one about you and why you're here and why you're interested, and then one about your actual research agenda. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And then the selection committee is composed of, I believe, 4 or 5 Informs members and also previous award winners sometimes as well. And these selection criteria looks on the basis of excellence, innovation, preparation, and probability of your success. So it's really important in your essay, and especially in your essay of interest, to talk about why this is innovative, how you prepared for this, what coursework have you taken, how are you going to be able to solve this problem and have the knowledge to solve the problem you're highlighting in your research statement. As well as, if you have any published papers already, even if they're not typically in military OR, maybe you did research as an undergraduate, maybe you were a co-author, your first or second year on your advisor's paper, but now you're turning off into your own area. Any sort of dissertation or any sort of academic research you have already, conference speaking experience, maybe even speaking in your colloquium on campus, let us know about it. We're looking at this idea of excellence broadly defined, this idea of probability of success. We kind of want to know about you, and we want to also get an understanding of what you've already been able to accomplish. And again, if it's not purely in this area, but you give us a strong statement about your research agenda and you've shown us that you're able to publish in general or something like that, that's really helpful as well. We're going to evaluate on the quality of the preparation to take research program. Let us know about what courses you're taking, what skills you have. And then your research will be judged on according to its potential for a contribution to the field, as well as the likelihood of a successful completion. So this is why we're asking for students with about 2 or 3 years remaining. This idea about likelihood of successful completion. At this point, you probably have some either publications or something in the pipeline or past your comprehensive. You're able to explain that, yes, this is a viable problem and I'm going to be able to address it, within the next couple of years. Okay, next slide. They are submitted by your candidate. So everything in that previous slide, if we can go back to the list of materials, when I say you have to be 100% complete when you submit, that would be your vita and your 2 statements. So your vita and your 2 statements are coming from you as the scholarship applicant, graduate student. We'll pop back over, please. And that is going to a PDF format by email to Nate Bastian. So Dr. Bastian is coordinating the award this year. He is the committee chair. He is collecting all of the applications. Your letters of support should come directly from your recommender. So it's not, no possibility of, kind of bias or anything like that. They should be coming in directly to Nate. And that is also by July 1st. So please don't call your recommender on June 30th and say, oh, I'm going to get my packet in July 1st, but take your time getting your letter in. We're moving forward on July 1st. So please, please, please make sure your recommenders are aware of that deadline as well, and they are able to hit that. Now, if you're international applicant, you might say July 1st when? That to me is anywhere on Earth. So we're 11:59 p.m. your time on July 1st is our deadline anywhere on Earth. So just make sure you make it before the end of your calendar day on July 1st. And we will have a decision by the end of August, and that will be from the overall committee, and that will give you time to get your registration ready and everything for the Informs annual meeting that fall. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so do we want to take any questions about the bonder now, or do we want to take questions at the end, Sean or Alicia?
Alicia, yeah. Actually, I would say if anyone has any questions, please, you can unmute and ask your questions at this point in time if you have any questions on the bonder.
And if you're unable to unmute or you don't feel comfortable speaking, you can also just drop them in the chat and we will cover them as well. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about the Koopman then, and then we can take more questions at the end too if something comes up. All right, the Koopman Prize recognizes the best operations research paper. So this is open to all, whether you are a graduate student or completely done and well versed in your career. We are looking for the best published paper, and it has to be formally published within the last full calendar year. So we are in the calendar year of 2021 while we're watching this webinar, or while this webinar is live. The last full calendar year was 2020. So in that pandemic year, if your paper was published, not accepted, but published in a journal in print with a 2020 date on that printing, this is eligible. So we're looking for a paper in the operations research space, broadly defined as operations research. Of course, that's a predictive analytics. So we're looking at this idea of operations research analytics. And our focus area here is military and defense or security applications. And we are looking for research development and application. So this could be a theoretical paper in terms of research and development. This could also be an application solution that you had with a client, or in illustrating your theoretical model or anything like that too. Theory and applied papers are both accepted. This will be awarded during the Informs annual meeting this fall, and then you will be invited to give a 20-minute technical talk about your paper at the meeting. And to the authors, $500 US is provided. So if you have 7 authors on the paper, it is one $500 award, actually not for every single author, but there is a $500 award to the authors in general for this. Okay, next slide. So this is also July 1st. Everything we're talking about today is July 1st, and you need to be a Informs member, but any Informs Mass member can nominate a paper. So this is new. We are allowing self-nominations this year. In the past, there has been some like you needed to be nominated. But here, if you have a paper that is yours and you're interested in it, or if you have a paper from a colleague, you either encourage the colleague to submit that paper or submit it on the colleague's behalf. You can submit your own paper, you can submit somebody else's paper. And again, it had to be published in 2020. The nomination must include the complete citation. So we have an understanding that the paper was published in the previous calendar year. So to make that easy, just give us the APA citation for it so we can just double check. You could also please submit the PDF if you're able to have the PDF. That's helpful as well, so we can see the paper already published. Okay, next slide. Topics in this have to directly relate to the goals of Informs Mass, which again is military and security applications and the dissemination of that. Basically what Sean talked about at the top of the webinar, our goals aligned with kind of the overall goal of your paper. Well structured, well written, novel advanced contributions. And again, if you're published in a journal, you're probably showing a novel advanced contribution anyway. And we're looking for, again, realistic contemporary problems as well. So, the second bullet point points to me to tell me that, hey, I'm looking for theoretical papers. The third bullet point says we're also open to applied industry papers as well. Okay. The nomination chair for the Koopman this year is Dr. Matthew Robbins, or JD Robbins, if you know him personally, and he is at the Air Force Institute of Technology, or AFIT. That's his email address. So we are looking for a APA citation of the work so send the email with a list of the APA citation and the PDF if you have it. And then just identifying the email as well if you are self-nominating or you are nominating on behalf of a colleague. If you want, the abstract of your paper should identify your research contribution and your goals and your impacts. But you feel free also to include like a short paragraph, not a really long thing, just a short paragraph highlighting those impacts and goals for the committee as well. Just like the bonder, we want everyone to know by the end of August. So we are collecting by the beginning of July, and then there'll be like a 2-month deliberation window, and we'll have everybody knowing by the end of August, so we're ready for the Informs annual meeting. I did see something pop up in the Q&A for that. So to be clear, papers published in 2021 are at this point ineligible for this year. So we are taping this webinar in June of 2020. So papers published in calendar year 2021 will be eligible for next year's Koopman cycle. So at this time next year, calls will be going out again, and you can definitely nominate that paper next year. Please don't try and nominate it now and say, hey, can you hold it for next year? Because most likely we're gonna have another awards chair and we may or might not remember. So please just kind of on your end, hold out for next year and know at this time next year, you'll be able to submit. If you are an Informs member, you'll see the calls on Informs Connect. If you are not an Informs member, time to join. But you will also probably see our calls on LinkedIn as well. Okay. Other questions about the Koopman? Okay, can we go to the next slide, please?
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So we can turn it over now to Dick Deckrow to talk more about the Steinhardt Award. And thank you so much, Dr. Scala, for presenting. And again, if anyone wasn't able to get their questions answered or didn't get it out, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll also make some time for it towards the end of the presentation. Over to you, Dick.
Okay, the Steinhardt Award, next slide, is given in honor of lifelong career accomplishments and contributions to military OR. So, if you're in your second year of being an military OR analyst, you got to wait a little while. But if your mentors or the people you're working for, they would be eligible. And you don't have to be a member of Informs. You do have to be somebody that's contributed to national research or military OR and security. The basis is based on practice or management of military operations research. If you look through the list in the past, there's even been a couple general officers who were instrumental in helping military OR. So it doesn't have to be just a practitioner. It could be an educator. It could be, you can have pubs. You could be all of those things or just one of them. You don't have to be any particular item. So again, it's on your lifetime contribution to military OR. The award is sponsored by the CNA Corporation. It's a $2,000 honorarium, and you also get a nice plaque for your office. Next slide. Again, nice lifetime contribution. We thought that people may or may not know who Jay Steinhardt is, at least some of the younger folks may not. He was one of the founders of military OR. He was a member of the World War II U.S. Navy Anti-Submarine Warfare Group, studied and worked under Philip Morris, who's one of the founding names in military operations research. He was a founding member and then later president of the Operations Research Society, so a long history here, very distinguished career, directed the Navy's Operational Evaluation Group and designed the Naval Postgraduate School's original OR program. And if you see down there, we left on the slides the link to his bio on the Inform's webpage. I just thought it would give you the kind of idea of the person whose name is the award's named after. Next slide, please. Okay, so like all the rest, these will be submitted July 1st, 2021. We have two duty chaired, Professor Jeff Klein at the Naval Postgraduate School, and there's his email address.
Hang on, Dick, you're fading now. We can hardly hear you.
Excuse me?
Can you speak a little closer to the mic, please?
Okay, how about now? Any better?
No, but I'm sorry, continue.
Okay. Or I can speak louder. Professor Klein's at the Naval Postgraduate School. He's chairing the committee this year. The who of this is a senior analyst and/or senior educator. Need a long record in providing and managing military operations research, products particularly for decision making, contributing to military and security operations society, and/or years of education, research, and publishing in advancing the practice of military operations research. And it's not uncommon for the award winners to be in all of these areas. Next slide, please. Okay, so the contribution, so the submission is, they need your name, your address, place of birth, present position, which could be retired, but if you're also still working, whatever your present position and duties are, a professional biography and curriculum vita kind of optional, but they want to know your history and where you've been and all the details of it. Then a summary of the contribution and impact, service and military operations research contributions. These are things like, have you been a professional society officer, like in Military and Security Society and MORS and some of the other societies, either A4s, whatever. Professional positions you have held and major studies you've conducted. Now remember, this is somebody's whole lifetime, so my guess is you're going to have a bunch of studies. You want to pick out the key ones to list there, but we'll take, there's no page limit, so whatever you want to list there. If you have teaching experience, former courses, graduate students, you know, if one of your students has gone on and been Secretary of the Navy or something, or Chief of Staff of the Navy, for instance, which, by the way, one of the MPS graduates did go on and became CNO. So they would like to know if you've had any important, you know, major contributions in educating. And then what are your technical qualifications? Have you won previous awards and honors, key publications, those kinds of things? I would point out, kind of as a side that didn't make it to the slide, but subject to security restrictions and stuff, if there's something you've done that you don't want publicized, but you're cleared to tell the committee at least that you've done this, just you can add that to your list of items and we will take it into consideration. We just won't publish it any place. It'll just kept internally to the committee. Now, don't send us anything that's classified, but if there's some project that yes, you were a key element of it, but you don't want it on the web, we can handle that. Then we would like you to make a citation of 200 words, kind of a summary of what you want to say about your career, and that gives us an idea of, you know, what you think is important. And also, if you win the award, it goes up on the Inform's Mass webpage. Okay, and again, send it to Dr. Klein. Next slide. So what are we going to look at? We're going to look at the record of lifelong contributions to practice, advancement of military OR, any technical expertise, instruction, mentorship, teaching junior analysts and/or officers. And again, if you're an educator, that's fine, but you don't have to be. If you've been instrumental in bringing along analysts and military analysts in particular, but national security analysts, if you set up learning programs for your people in your command and stuff, that's all important. And then what professional societies have you contributed to? Um, Again, past Steinhardt honorees are there's one representative from military the Military and Security Society Executive Board, and the rest of the judges are past Steinhardt Award winners. And all nominations provided to all candidates. And again, like everybody else, we'll tell you by the end of August if you've been picked, so you can have time to show up at the meeting, get your check and your plaque. Next slide, please. Okay, I think that's done unless there's questions on the Steinhardt Award.
Okay, do we have any questions about either the Steinhardt Award, the Koopman, or the Bonder Scholarship?
Feel free to either put those in chat, or if you can raise your hand on Zoom, we'll make sure that you can unmute. And I know some folks don't want to talk while we're recording. While we will want to try and capture questions, we'll make sure that we add those to any notes. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so that if anybody does want to come off mute, they feel a little more free to do so.
And right before you stop recording, Sean, I just wanted to add, I think Dick mentioned this, that the Steinhardt is open for self-nominations as well, which is new this year. So if you are, before you had to find someone to nominate you, but you are open for self-nominations this year, which is new. So think about those people in your network. Maybe sometimes it's very easy to think of certain people, but you also definitely want to make sure you have a chance to think about all those people in your network who have had sustained contributions throughout their career. Especially think of your colleagues who identify as female, or maybe from an underrepresented group traditionally as well. Sometimes it's harder to find someone to nominate you, but that doesn't mean you're not as, potentially meritorious as well. So we open to self-nominations this year. So please think through your networks. Please think about yourself if you're in that stage of your career as well. And, we're also open to answer any questions offline as well if you have them. And then I think we can end the recording here, unless if there are additional questions as well.
Sure. I did see one question in chat. And so, Alicia, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, I'm just going to, before I do end the recording, I'm going to encourage everyone here or who might be watching us on YouTube to please connect with us, LinkedIn, Facebook, on our Twitter accounts. We're primarily most prolific on our LinkedIn page, but also feel free to reach out directly to us. And I'm that second email address. Feel free to reach out to me directly. You had the email addresses in the slides. And if you missed any of the material, I know we had a few folks who joined late. This recording will be posted on our YouTube, our MASS YouTube page, so that you can catch that. And the links to all of the awards are listed in the slides there. So as I will just address the one question in chat. How many awards are given out each year? And so it's the 3 awards, the Koopman Award, the Bonder Scholarship, and the Steinhardt Award. And those submissions are due on 1 July, and the awards will be announced by the end of August. I've dropped the links so that you can learn more about each of those awards. I've dropped the links in chat, and we'll be sure to make sure that we have those in the slides and posted on the YouTube channel as well. And I think that there was one more question submitted to us here.
And to speak to that question, these all awards we talked about today are for military and security applications. The Bonder Scholarship has a second Bonder, a completely different application process for those working in healthcare. I am not sure what the Healthcare Society, Health Application Society does for, lifetime achievement or best paper awards, but we are talking today specifically in the military and security space. So there was a question about submitting potentially healthcare papers or an inaugural award. I would recommend reaching out to Health Applications Society or HAS for that. And, we are again soliciting in the military and security space. I think Dick has his hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one comment and a slight modification. The Steinhardt Award has occasionally been given to multiple people. They tend not to do it, but it has in the past. There's been such strong candidates. Now you get to divide like the Koopman Prize. If they give it to multiple people, you get to divide the honorarium. But it has a few times, not lately, but a few times been given to multiple people. But generally they pick one winner. Just wanted to clarify that.
Great, thank you. And again, if you'd like to, if there are any other questions, please, you can put them in the Q&A or you can put them in chat. We're monitoring both. You can also raise your hand and we'll help you to come off mute so that you can ask that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for attending today's session. Thank you, Dr. Scala. Thank you, Dr. Decro, for providing the information today and participating in today's webinar. And thank you, Alicia, for putting it together. If you found this valuable, we hope that you will, again, connect with us on those handles. We hope that you'll forward the link to the recording to your peers and colleagues and encourage them to submit for these awards as well. And they can watch the recording to get more information as well. We hope to get this posted on the YouTube page probably over the weekend. So look forward to Monday morning at the latest, fingers crossed. But with that, I'm going to stop the recording. That doesn't mean you need to leave and happy to take any additional questions.